That's right. This is a call to order of the Board of Education meeting for Mount Healthy City Schools, December 13th, 2021. This is a meeting of the Board of Education in public and is not to be considered a public meeting. Could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Bryant. Mrs. Ellis.
Present.
Mr. Glenn.
Present.
Mr. Kilgore.
Here.
Dr. Turner.
Oh, I'm here. I told you, I've been busy today. My mind is not here. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mm-hmm. Board members have had the opportunity to discuss to see the agenda for this evening. Do we have any discussion of the agenda? Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kilgore, seconded by Mrs. Ellis. Any discussion? I already asked that. Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant. Yes. Mrs. Ellis.
Yes.
Mr. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore.
Yes.
Dr. Turner.
Yes. Board members have also had the opportunity to look at the minutes from the November 15th meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as written?
So
Moved by Ms. Bryant, seconded by Mr. Kilgore. Any discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant. Yes. Mrs. Ellis.
Yes.
Mr. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore.
Yes.
Dr. Turner.
Yes. Item 6, special orders. 6A is Mount Healthy Teachers Association.
The Teachers Association wanted me to let everyone know that we have started negotiations. And so we've had a couple meetings with negotiations. They're going well so far.
Okay, great. 6B, communications, announcements, public input.
There's no announcements or did anybody sign up to speak? No one signed up to speak.
Okay. 6C, presentation.
So the presentation is mine. Tonight is a little bit sad for me because Mr. Glenn, this is his last meeting. And I've really had the pleasure to work with you over the last year and a half and have just enjoyed every time I've been able to talk with you and your work on the board. So we have something for you. You can open it. What's that? So this is something that hopefully you will remember us fondly wherever you might be. So it's hard to see on some, but it's got owls on it, and it has our school colors and some Mount Healthy fabric. So hopefully, when you use it, you will remember all of us.
That's nice.
Hey, thank you.
Can you see the owl patterns
Yeah, that
in the black especially? You can see it. So
Something fell on the floor.
Yeah.
You want him to hold it up, Missy, so you can get a picture?
yeah, yeah. Let me know.
You want Mr. Kilgore to help?
Oh, that'd be nice.
That is nice. Mm-hmm.
So you will be missed by all of us, and I hope you will remember us whenever you are using that blanket and even when you're not using the blanket. So thank you for everything that you've done.
And I'll bet I know who made it, too.
Yeah. I made it, but Becky helped in spirit.
I know how that feels.
So, is there anything you want to say for your last meeting?
I would say I'm extremely thankful for the opportunity to meet everyone in this room, to get back to the community that built me, where I came from, and to be able to pour into the students, staff,
And I hope you won't be a stranger, even though you'll be traveling, I know, and doing a lot of great things. We can't wait to hear about where your next competition will be. So whenever you're in town, please swing by and see us. So, thank you, Mr. Glenn.
Item 7 on the agenda, Great Oaks Board Report. Mrs. Ellis.
All right, you all should have a copy of it. Okay, the Eric Scott Compassion Award was given out, Wednesday, to, the Scarlet Oaks custodian, Dwayne Rudd. He was presented with the 2021 award. The award is given each year in memory of longtime Great Oaks associate Eric Scott, to an associate who best contribute to an organizational culture that embraces the diverse strength and desires of students and staff. Dwayne Rudd is the first to assist in a time of need. Read the information, okay? We really appreciate Dwayne and all the way he does to make Great Oaks students and staff valued and needed to be make the world a better place to be. The award was presented by Devonna Scott. That's Eric's wife. He's deceased, but anyway. And also that was Dwayne's last day.
Oh.
He was retiring.
Oh, nice.
Okay, UC Economic Center report. President Snyder gave highlights of a new study, the economic benefits of career technical education on the state of Ohio. The study qualified the impact of Ohio Technical Center on individuals and communities. On average, the report found that adults who complete a career technical certificate at the OTC had annual earnings of $46,208 5 years after completion, with a return on their tuition investment of 223% after 5 years. In addition, OTCs put $1.4 billion into Ohio economy in 2019 and generated more than $26 million in state taxes. The Adult Workforce Development Department at Great Oaks is an Ohio Technical Center. Great Oaks Educational Foundation, Ted Kirkpatrick gave the annual report of the Great Oaks Foundation. The goal of the foundation is to expand access to quality career technical programs and service for youth. Foundation board members are volunteers and all monies are raised and kept separate from district funds. During 2021, the foundation spent more than $107,000, and this included food and other direct aid to support students' basic needs. $23,000 in scholarships, driver's training for students, classroom grants, and fundraising expenses. This is in my report.
Thank you. Item 8 is the legislative report. A few things to report on here. Senate Bill 229. This bill is referred to as the K through 12 Omnibus Bill due to the multiple and extensive education-related provisions. It has been sent to Governor DeWine for his approval. SB 229 contains provisions regarding blended learning, online learning, remote learning, third grade reading guarantee, state report card, and various other education-related provisions. HB 169. This legislation has also been sent to Governor DeWine for his approval. The bill provides the state appropriation authority for schools to receive $2.29 billion in funding provided by Congress through the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, or ESSER, Fund, and appropriates the Governor Emergency Education Relief, GEER, funding in the amount of $33.8 million. The bill also provides $92.2 million in funding to establish a minimum per pupil for ESSER fund money in districts that receive little or no funding due to the federal funding formula. And finally, House Bill 218. It's the most recent vaccination bill that would temporarily restrict certain COVID-19 vaccination requirements for public and private employers and also establish exemptions for students and employees should an approved COVID-19 vaccine be required by a school or employer. Additionally, the bill would prohibit an individual from being required to show proof of vaccination and would extend a school district's civil immunity. The vaccination provisions were amended into a bill that pertained to bar curfews, and the bill's original language was removed. The vaccination language that was inserted is mostly the vaccination language of House Bill 435, the House leadership bill that stalled in October. The bill passed the Ohio House on November 18th by a vote of 58 to 32. The Ohio Senate is currently holding committee hearings on HB 218 in the Senate General Government Budget Committee. Okay. Item 9 on the agenda is the report of the treasurer, Ms. Brooks.
Thank you. Item A is a recommendation to accept the schedule of bills for November 2021.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Ellis, seconded by Mr. Glenn. Any discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mrs. Ellis? No, hold on. Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
I said that once.
And Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. Item B is a recommendation to accept the financial statement for November 2021.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Ellis, seconded by Mr. Glenn. Any discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Yes. Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you, and that's all I have for you tonight.
All right. Item 10 is the superintendent's report. Dr.
Thank
Hawkins.
you, Dr. Turner. So we have some informational items, some of the final change orders that are related to the Early Learning Center, and they are just summarized below for your review. And we did have a great opening or ribbon cutting ceremony on Saturday at the Early Learning Center. I just want to thank everyone that attended and all of our board members for being there. And, you know, it was just a fantastic day, even though it was a little bit windy and rainy. And we are so happy to have that open. You know, we had a lot of people come. Dr. Cosby was there as well, and her husband. So we just were very appreciative of everyone who came to celebrate with us. As an informational item, all Mount Healthy City School District buildings will be closed from December 23rd through the 31st. So we'll let everyone know the way Christmas falls and New Year's falls. Most of that week was in observance of holidays, so we're just going to close for that week. So our people can enjoy time with their family. And we did receive a donation. The Mount Healthy Athletic Boosters donated $800 to the boys basketball team to help with expenses for the trip to the Holiday Basketball Classic that will be in Somerset, Kentucky over Christmas break. Boys basketball is having a great season if you haven't been out to see them, so I know they were appreciative of that donation. Mount Healthy has been awarded another grant, which we're super excited about, the Innovative Workforce Incentive Program. And we received $63,660.44. And this grant is for computer certification. And we have a teacher at the high school, Mr. White, who has gone through the required courses in order to teach this. So it's another opportunity for our students. So we're excited about that grant. We also have signed into agreement with Khajiit. Khajiit will install hardware on our school buses, and it turns our school buses into Wi-Fi hotspots. So as students are riding home in the afternoon, they could work on their homework. Also, I thought this was if we have areas that we just want to boost internet, we can actually take our buses to certain areas and make it a hotspot. We could, for instance, set up times where people could come up to our parking lots and park the buses around the parking lot and let that be a hotspot. So that's an exciting advance with that. This isn't on here, but I wanted to just note we are on track with Cincinnati Bell creating a smart city in Mount Healthy. All of the different terminals have been put around our city, and they are testing them. They should launch in January, and that will be for the area where fiber optics was already installed. Phase 2, they will be adding more fiber optics, but we have met all the deadlines for that grant, and in the next month or so you will be hearing about how we're rolling that out to our community. So we're very excited about that. That leads into item B, with a recommendation to enter into an agreement with TutorMe for on-demand online tutoring services, writing lab, virtual courses for Mount Healthy students. The total cost is $91,600. This will be paid for with ESSER funding. This is such an exciting thing for our students. So with TutorMe, every student in the district has 24/7 access to a live tutor in every subject. So if I'm at home with my child and they have a problem and they don't understand, they log into TutorMe. Within 45 seconds, they get a real person, and they can give them a picture of what they're working on. The tutor doesn't just give them an answer. They work through it with them. For the parents, it shows all of their credentials, where they were educated, what their background is, and it's for every subject. Even our younger students, they could log on and read a book to practice their reading. This is available 24/7, unlimited, to every student in Mount Healthy. So I'm very excited with us rolling out the internet, that now it just gives our students that extra advantage. So I'm so excited about partnering with TutorMe, and you know, I just think this is another way that we're removing an obstacle to allow our students to have success. So I'm hoping this goes through.
Okay, do I have a motion to enter into an agreement with TutorMe?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kilgore, seconded by Mrs. Ellis. Any discussion?
How long is the contract good?
A year. So that's for 1 year, and then, you know, we can evaluate, and hopefully we'll have grant funding to continue it.
Are we gonna have any kind of stats of how many people use the
Mhm.
system and stuff?
Yes. It will give us all of that in the subject area. And the way, when you go in, it has every possible subject. So no matter what you are, you click on it, the person picks up within 45 seconds. And the parent, it even has a whiteboard where they can like write just like they were tutoring in the classroom. We also see maybe even this being used by our staff. So you have somebody who comes to class that might need, you know, a teacher could be working with one group while, okay, click on your TutorMe account. They'll help you with what you didn't get last night. So I think this just has a lot of possibilities for our district.
Even during study hours?
Yes, yes. It can be accessed anytime, 24/7, and it's as much as you need. Each session is only limited by 1 hour. So you can do an hour session, and then you could click off and then start another hour session. But that's the only limit. So that every student in Mount Healthy, starting in, if it's approved in January, will have unlimited tutoring for free. So our families don't have to worry about that cost, and they can get all the help that they need. Yes, and they also, thank you, Lavonda. Lavonda helps me all the time. They also have some built-in courses like ACT prep that students can log in and do as well. So they do have some virtual courses that, just help students to be prepared. So I think that it also is just a great advantage. And this is every student in our district, from kindergarten to 12th grade.
Okay. Any further discussion? Can we take a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Great, thank you. This, item C is the second reading of recommended for the Mount Healthy Board of Education bylaw and policy change. And this was the revision to professional staff vacations and holidays.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kilgore, seconded by Mrs. Ellis. Any discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. Item D is the recommendation to approve central insulation system for the removal and disposal of carpet, floor tile, mastic, asbestos pipes, and walk-in cooler box that also was linked to asbestos. Total cost $48,182.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Ellis, seconded by Mr. Kilgore. I assume this is for this is this building, right?
Yeah, Gary, do you want to give a little more details?
First and third floor, we found expenses, of course, in a few rooms and the removal of some of the pipes. So it was a definite thing we had to do.
Okay. Any further discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. Item E is the recommendation to enter into an agreement with Hamilton Claremont Cooperative HCC to provide additional on-site technician. The total cost is $38,955.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Ellis, seconded by Mr. Glenn. Any discussion?
Yeah, what's the on-site location?
That is a computer tech person. With the opening of the Early Learning Center, we now have an additional building that needs, for instance, if the teachers are having issues. So once we've opened that, we're expanding to add one more technician.
Any further discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. Item F is the recommendation to approve Emerson Design as the lead architect for the next phase of the construction project. We voted a few meetings ago to start the process to put out bidding for this building and the culinary renovations at the high school. So the first phase is finding an architect that will then put out the specifics for the bid. And after reviewing all of the people who submitted their portfolios, the decision was made to go with Emerson Design.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Ellis, seconded by Mr. Glenn. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. Item G is the consent agenda. You can look through. There's not a lot this time of year. But if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, what's beyond?
The Beyond program is what we're doing from 3 until 7 after school. So any teacher who is working in that program, we put through for pay. So students can take classes, they can do credit recovery, they can be part of clubs, and they're able to have dinner and then spend some additional time at school.
Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kilgore, seconded by Mrs. Ellis. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Item 11 is special orders. We don't have any. Item 12 is open discussion by the Board of Education. I'm going to jump in on that with a couple of things. I would also like to say a fond farewell to Mr. Glenn and thank him for being with us for the last couple of years. We're sorry to see him go, but he's moving out of the district, so that's that. So good luck, and yeah, keep us posted on where you land and what happens. And also, I'm going to second what Dr. Hawkins said about the Early Learning Center opening. It was just fabulous. I hadn't been inside the building yet, but I felt like I had been because we had seen so many virtual fly-throughs.
Right.
So I was able to take my husband around and say, oh, this is this, and this is this, and this
Yeah.
is this. It's beautiful. Our students are going to have such a great experience there. I couldn't be happier. So it went really well. We also have discussion of Capitol Conference. So anyone who went to Capitol Conference, if you want to share anything that you learned or any, what sessions you attended or anything.
I left my paperwork.
Oh, no.
I was working on another project and I just got up and left it.
I thought it was exciting. They mentioned that this was the first in-person conference that they had had at the convention center since everything had been shut down. And I believe there was a little over 6,000 educators, school board members present. So that was pretty exciting. And you could just feel everybody was really happy to be together. I thought, we attended together the Black Caucus meeting, and that was inspiring to hear what they were doing and the work that was going on in the state, and challenged to get involved in different things. So the general sessions were fantastic. Again, very challenging to just remind everybody, as well as some of the individual sessions that were great.
Yeah. I know that Kim and I attended some of the same sessions. The first one I attended was a long one. It was a 2-hour legislative update. So it was hearing about all of the bills pending and what we should be watching for. That one was fun. Don't blame anybody else for not attending that one. I attended one on student mental health and another one on suicide prevention. These days, our students are so stressed. So those were really good. Went to one, I did a lot that were kind of two on similar subjects, the mental health and the suicide prevention. I did political speech and what's protected speech, and then also student-free speech and what's protected speech, where they more talked about social media, what students can talk about, what they can say on social media, when you get involved, that kind of thing. And then also one on equity and inclusion, which I think in our district we always say, oh, well, of course we're very inclusive, but they talked about, unfortunately they ran out of time. It would have been a better one. I know that Kim was at that one. It would have been better if that one had had more time because they ran out of time. But it was interesting just to hear what other districts were doing as far as equity and inclusion and what kinds of things can be done. I really felt like I got a lot out of it this time, and it was great to be back in person with everybody. I attended it online last year, and I think I fell asleep during a couple of the things when I was watching them online.
I believe that mental health was covered in a lot of areas, and it's not just the kids.
Right.
It's adults too.
Right.
And I always enjoy going to the session where they actually have students there.
Mhm.
and how the kids were talking about the programs that they have
Mhm.
at their schools. I just think that is so amazing that they come and they take pride in what they've been doing in their school. And then just to remember that, to include all our kids, every last one of our children are important. And the importance of that, sometimes we focus on this group and that group, but everyone's important and we need to always keep that.
This year, they had a lot of, classes on diversity
Mhm.
and equity.
Mhm.
And, I don't know if people quite understand yet what that really means, that, you treat all students the same way, no matter what their, race, color, or creed is, or sexual orientation. And, sometimes I think we as adults, because we were raised, there's a lot of things were taboo, that you just didn't bring that into the classroom, and I think about, years ago when we was arguing about sex education. If the parents aren't teaching it, somebody better teach them, because they get out there and then a lot of times they don't know what they're doing, and things happen that shouldn't happen. And so, the diversities, they had quite a few. I hadn't realized how many they actually had sessions, and I went to at least 3 of them, but I went to other things too. But we also, she was talking about the Black Caucus sessions. Well, the first night, who was that speaker? I forgot who it was.
At the general session or the?
No.
Oh, the principal.
Oh, can't get
Remember the name?
Yeah, but anyway, they always have this session at night where everybody gets together and they have a speaker. And also, they have scholarships that they award to each of the regions in the state of Ohio. And so it's something, we should, some of our students should look into.
I would also add, the equity and inclusion, you're right. There's a lot that doesn't get talked about. And like I said, I think with a district like ours, we just assume we're doing everything we could be doing. But the one session that I attended, and I know there were quite a few on that topic, they said, talk about this stuff in your board meetings. So in the coming year sometime, we'll have that as a separate discussion item, because a lot of people just don't, if you've lived in this district for a long time, you're aware that the demographics have changed, but you're maybe not aware how, or, those kinds of things. So I do want us to I'm hoping that everyone will agree that it's good to talk about these things, maybe have a topic, maybe not every meeting, but every couple of meetings, a different topic. Another one that I really was impressed with was the suicide prevention one. Now it was attached to a paid program that you join. I think a lot of the stuff they were doing could be done without joining their organization and paying for the program. And that one did have students there talking about how effective they felt it was. That one was a really good one.
Was that the one called Hope? Okay. And also the other thing is the social and emotional that they talked about in some of them. And, we just don't realize what type of things that a student is dealing with each day. And instead of, they were talking about instead of just, reprimanding them just because they're late or whatever the reason is, sit and talk to that child and find out what the problem is. If you don't want to do it, then they were saying use the counselors to do it, to check on them and see what the problem is. And not just assume something, or they just want to be late, or they're just not getting up. But a lot of times they're up before we are. So that was another one that I went to.
Yeah, there was a lot of really good stuff. Very worthwhile.
You can't get to all of them.
Mm-mm. Okay. Anything else anyone wants to include in our open discussion of the board?
Oh, yeah, definitely will miss all of that.
Was that an afterthought?
Okay, item 13, Board of Education report. 13A, a motion to select a date and time for the public hearing on the budget.
What is that usually, the first one or the second one?
Pardon?
First or second Monday of the month?
Isn't
Well, it's
usually
the second
before?
Monday. We have to have it before January 15th. The budget has to be adopted prior to that. And the 10th is the Monday prior to that.
Okay.
So I would recommend the 10th at 5:30 PM, and then our board meeting would start at 6 o'clock.
Is that B?
Pardon?
Is that what B is? Oh, never mind.
Okay.
Okay.
what time?
So you wanted the budget at 5:30 on January 10th, right?
Yes.
January 10th, 5:30. Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt that time?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Ellis, seconded by Ms. Bryant. Any discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you.
13B is a motion to select a date and time for the organizational meeting and regular meeting for the month of January. So that would be January 10th at 6 o'clock. Do I have a motion to set that date and time?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Ellis, seconded by Ms. Bryant. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes. 13C is a motion to select the following person to act as the temporary chairperson at the organizational meeting in January. I would like to recommend Mrs. Ellis, as I always do. Do I have a motion? I'll go ahead and make the motion. I'm the one who recommended her. Moved by me, seconded by Ms. Bryant. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Bryant? Mrs. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes. And item 14 is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Jumped right on those. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, and everybody have a good holiday.